Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Professor Chris G. And on the other line with me is the man that left his toy behind and it got possessed, everybody. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
If you knew me as a young child, you know that would never happen because I kept a clean room and I kept very meticulous track of my toys. Thank you very much. Please and thank you.
You never lost a toy when you were little?
Well,
I lost a toy when I was little. I actually lost a toy on an airplane.
Ooh.
Yeah, I forgot to take it off the airplane.
Lost a...
What's up?
What'd you lose?
I lost a Power Ranger toy.
I lost a Beanie Baby at the zoo.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the Beanie Baby's still there. And it's possessed. And it became a bandit.
And that Beanie Baby now is Harambe.
Harambe?
Harambe.
So how are you doing today, man? This is a Thursday that we're recording today's show, and it is March 9th that we're recording this.
Yes, it doesn't feel like we're getting ready to change our clocks because
we're getting snow tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, say that with a grain of salt because we were supposed to get that last week, and
yeah. So,
but it is colder than it was last week, so I don't know.
It is. It definitely is. I was outside banging some pipes today. And
listen, whatever you do in the privacy of your own. I mean, for goodness sake.
Contracted out to tear some pipes. I had to tear some pipes apart. So if you can put two and two together, you know what I do for a living. But yeah, it was chilly out doing it, and
yes,
I mean,
it was.
And I was on the side of the house where all the wind was hitting. I mean, and luckily, me and my partner was able to get the job done together because we didn't want to be on that job for that long. So I did half and he did half, and I mean, we were in and out within like 20 minutes, but still, it was just taking the old rusted pipes out and how rusted they were, and they didn't want to move. Shit sucked.
Pardon me, where were the pipes?
Outside in the back of the house. So
it wasn't like you had to like go under like a porch or anything.
No. It was on the corner of a house, but still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
But there was a whole bunch of field around this house, and what comes with a whole bunch of field? A whole bunch of wind, because there's nothing blocking it.
Right.
So, and then we had little ash flakes because someone like 2 miles down the road decided that they want to go and burn some whatever sticks, leaves, and it looked like a whole bunch of wood because I ended up passing by it when I was leaving. But the fire was so big that it literally painted the sky black. Like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was bad. And not only did it paint it black, but I mean, you had a whole bunch of ash just falling everywhere. I really don't think it was legal. I don't see how a cop didn't shut that shit down, but still.
Well, you said it was kind of butting up to a field. So, I mean, are we talking like country-ish?
Yeah, it was more country. It was a country area that I was in. So probably not too many houses, but I mean the houses that I was near got a bunch of ash in their backyard, which I wouldn't be too happy to get a whole bunch of ash in my backyard. I mean, um, I've had neighbors in the past burn stuff and it got in my pool and I wasn't too happy about it.
Hmm.
But I was able, luckily, I had a really nice scoop and it only took like 4 or 5 scoops to get it out. But still,
Well, but still, it's the time it took to go out there and do it.
yeah. So, but yeah, that was my day today, and luckily tomorrow I'll be inside of a nice semi-warm building and learning some stuff tomorrow. So I don't have
You
to.
hope.
I don't have to be outside tomorrow. No, I don't
Well,
have to be outside tomorrow. I will be in a classroom for work.
no, 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 no. You said I'm going to be learning some stuff, and I said you hope.
Oh yeah. I hope. I hope it's not stuff that I already know and I'm gonna fall asleep in the back. So
If you do, I was going to say, if you do that, sit in the back of the room, and maybe you can keep a low profile. But knowing how tall you are, I don't know if that's possible.
and so everybody that knows me and has either grown up with me and I feel like we've grown up together. Um I've always had my hair fairly short. But recently, within the past 6 to 7 months, I've grown out my hair because I'm going to get it braided, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was at work yesterday, and one of the directors was there, and he just happened to see me, and he looked at me, and he was like, "Let me guess, 6'5" with the hair." And I looked at him and I was like, you're probably right. He's like the hair adds about like 2 inches. He's like, am I right? Are you about 6'3"? I was like, you hit it right on the nose. He's like, booyah. He's like, I knew it. But it was just funny to hear that. I was like, I was not expecting that at all. He's just like, hey, let me guess, 2 inches with the hair. I was like, yeah. That's when you know, because I'm now known as when my boss tells someone that they're going to be with me for the day, when they're looking for me in the yard, I'm the one with the afro. That's what he tells people. He's like, you'll know him when you see him. He's the one with the afro.
So you really can't put those dreads in then.
I can, but at this point, I think I've kind of gotten a little bit of a look. So,
I got you.
but all right,
Well, I'd rather have a look than a reputation.
yeah, for real.
There you go.
So, I mean, at least I stand out. But
Well, right.
today we are going over episode 1231 titled Juppeta's Search, which Juppeta translated in English. The Pokemon name is Bannett's. So Bannett's Search. Um, sad episode that we're getting ready to go over. So hopefully you don't tear up. Hopefully you are watching this episode with us as we're going through it, because that's how we encourage you guys to follow our podcast. But outside of that, are you ready to jump on into this episode, bro?
I think so, and at the risk of putting us behind the eight ball, outside of the crucial moments, I think this should be a relative easy review because there's a lot of moments that happen in the episode that aren't really conducive to a audio retelling, which is why it was crucial for you to kind of remind people to kind of way they're comfortable with, follow along with the show.
Yes. And you know what? And right before, because I wanted to touch on this last week, but I forgot. So let me and this is Pokemon related. So the Nintendo Switch is implementing a Game Boy and Game Boy Advance um, versions of the systems to be emulated legally on the Nintendo Switch, which they are bringing over Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Green, Yellow, like all the games that were either on regular Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance are going to be ported over to the Nintendo Shop Store for purchase so you can play those games and transfer over your Pokemon dating all the way back to the beginning all the way to now. How did you feel about hearing that news, Doug?
That's interesting.
It is, isn't
That's
it?
interesting. It is interesting.
And I'm excited. And you want to know why I'm excited? Because
Why are you excited?
I I'm one of those OG players. I've been playing Pokemon since day one. And I mean, I might not have beaten every single game because there was a gap of where I kind of fell out of Pokemon, but I am slowly playing these games, but I am playing. I will say this: I am playing these games, but I'm gonna have to replay them once they become legalized because right now I'm playing them on a Steam Deck on an emulator, and I'm just running through these games, and these games are freaking. It's they're just amazing. And the emulations these days are just by far superb. And like my hats off to everybody that has put these out for us to be able to play. So I'm playing them. They're really fun. It's probably going to be a little bit of a headache once the official ports come over to the Nintendo Switch, but I'm excited. I think that's another incentive for people to come over to the Nintendo Switch. But rumor is Nintendo Switch might be becoming obsolete soon because I'm hearing rumblings that we're going to be having an announcement of a new Nintendo system coming soon.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Well,
It is it is
depends on.
it is that window though.
It is. It depends on how soon you're wanting to drop. 200 to 300 just for the system. Because
Oh,
I don't.
I'll do that as soon as the pre-sale goes up. I'm not going to be behind on that because I love Pokemon. Nintendo will always get my money when it comes to Pokemon. So that and I play a little bit of Zelda, but I still haven't beaten the last Zelda, so I need to kind of get up on that because the next one, Tears of the Kingdom,
Mm,
is getting ready to come out. So yeah, I need to finally beat that last Zelda game. But yeah, I keep cutting you off, bro. How do you feel hearing this? And would that be an incentive? Like, if you were able to get your hands on a Nintendo Switch, would you? Is that something that you would do? Play the old games?
I'm not really concerning myself because I'm not in the market for another console just yet. I really can't justify it. I mean, the PS5 is only a couple years old. Obviously, we're still figuring stuff out about that, getting updates, whatever. Um, I can't drop another, 200, whatever. I mean, I would reckon
Well, I know, but
Switch
but
is.
but say someone got it for you. And I'm not saying that I
Someone better knock that shit off.
have. But no, I'm being for real. I'm being optimistic. So I'm not saying I'm getting it, but if someone did get it for you, is that something that would intrigue you with playing the Switch?
No,
Playing,
because I don't have enough time.
you don't have enough time, really.
No, no,
I think you do. I
I
think you.
don't think I do. I don't think you know how seriously I take the games I play.
No, I do. I do know that. Oh boy, do I know that. So okay. Well, I was just wondering because I that's like an incentive for me, and I know they already have ports of the um Game Boy and Game Boy Advance already out there. You can already get it, but they haven't released the Pokemon games yet. But people have found out how
Hmm.
to play the Pokemon games with their versions of the ROMs just by renaming a file inside of their Switch. But I don't know how legal that is, or if they found out, if they would ban your Switch. So I don't know if I'm willing on doing that because I know I can, and I know if I watch a video, it'll be fairly easy. But I'm scared of getting another Switch banned because I have a banned Switch, and I don't want to have a second banned Switch
It's
because
a
having a
very expensive paperweight.
yeah, I mean we have three Nintendo Switches inside of the house, but I don't want to have two of my three banned from online play. If you catch
Mm.
my drift, so
Yeah, that wouldn't be too much fun.
yeah, the band one that I have, I can do certain things with it, which I still take advantage of to this day. But outside of that, I'm going to keep my other two legal because well, I mean, because when these Pokemon games come out, they put out two at a time. So
Hmm.
I don't have to fight with my son on which version to play. I let him pick one and then I go ahead and I play the other and we don't have to be asking each other to play one of the Nintendo Switches and they both go online to do all the extra stuff and all the really cool perks that they have. So it works. I like it.
Something I've been thinking about,
What is
just
it?
and you just said something just a second ago that made me sparked it again. Um, these Pokemon games come out two at a time.
Yes.
Now, with the most recent version, I think that came out, you kind of said it kind of made sense because one game is in the future and one game is in the past.
Yes.
But in the past, going way back, when it's like Ruby and Sapphire, and sometimes they'll throw like an emerald in there. What was the difference?
Just the
Other than maybe a Pokemon or two.
yeah, they in order to get all the Pokemon that were exclusive to that timeline, you needed both games. They release certain Pokemon in one game and they release certain Pokemon in the other game, and then you go and complete half of your Pokédex in one game and you're like, "Well, fuck. I need to get these Pokemon." So you go and buy the game, or you have a best friend that bought the other game, and you guys go back and forth and start trading Pokemon to complete your Pokédex.
And Nintendo games are getting in line with the other consoles, right? So you're talking 60, $70,
Um, you, yeah,
or are they still down?
well, for Pokemon games, they're 50. Yeah, they're 60. They're 59.99. Or you can get it, the bundle. So you can
Mm,
but the bundles are exclusive for pre-order.
right,
Once
right,
they
right.
run through all the bundles, you can't get it for that price. You can get two for $100 with the bundle, or you can buy one game for $60. Which surprisingly, because I go to GameStop to get these and I do the whole midnight release things for GameStop, a lot of people buy only one version of the game. They don't go and buy the double copy. But I go and buy the double copy one because they always give you extra Pokeballs. So
Mm,
you'll get a code to enter into the game, and you get 100 free Pokeballs with a couple different in-game item stuff. So I'm like, okay, so that's worth the amount right there, and then I don't have to pay, and I'm saving fucking $20. And I know my son's gonna want to play one of the Pokemon games because he always does, but he never finishes it. He always
right.
he always gets to the very end of the game and then just drops it because something there's a new update on Fortnite that he needs to do, or his Minecraft, or one of the few games that he plays on his Xbox. But yeah,
Hmm.
actually, wait, no, I think he actually beat Violet. Yeah, he did. He beat Violet
Ah,
this
look at
time
that.
because
Made a
I
liar out of you.
yeah, he did. Because I remember him getting to the end of the game and he wanted to switch the two Pokemon around. So yeah, he did. He did. He beat
Well,
it.
there you go.
The one Pokemon game he did beat.
Well,
So
maybe this is a trend that's starting.
I hope so. I really do hope that he plays these games to completion. But he mainly does. He likes games like he'll play Pokemon, but I think he plays Pokemon more for me. And then he'll play like Hello Neighbor, and he'll have me help him out with that. The latest incarnation, the Hello Neighbor 2, which is a really fucked up game. Um, I cannot for the life of me get into Fortnite, but the boy loves it. He loves Roblox, Minecraft, and he likes games that makes you think. And right now he's on a kick out on the Steam Deck for playing Portal 2. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So he's been playing that the past few days, and I mean the game shuts him up. He just sits there, and all I hear is bloop 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 bloop. Dad, I can't figure this out. I was like, well, go on YouTube. The game's been out for a long time. I can't help you. I'm
Yeah,
still
you don't.
I'm still on the first one.
You don't. Oh, okay. I was gonna say you don't mess with puzzle games, but if you're still on the first one,
Oh yeah, no, those are my favorite games are puzzle games. So but all right, let's go ahead and get on into this episode. Do you have it loaded up, bro?
I do have it loaded up.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play and we can start this episode. So, this week we start with our heroes and we start with a funny intro because our heroes are coming into a town. We don't know what town this is, but Misty, apparently, when they got to the town, found a side shop and she couldn't help herself. So she needed to go and buy accessories from the shop. And it looks like she bought a nice heart hair pendant that she is currently sporting at the beginning of this episode. And Misty's like, yeah, who would have, or no, Brock says, who would have thought that she would pick a heart hair pendant? And Ash is like, I fell asleep for a little bit while she was just shopping. And Misty looks over at Pikachu. She points and she's like, Pikachu, how do you like my new hair pendant? And Pikachu's like, Pika, Pika. She's like, yeah, it does look good on me, doesn't it? And she's like, how about you two? And then that's when the narrator comes in and starts talking about how they've arrived at a town, so we don't have the name of the town, um, and at a town bathed in an evening glow. So it's the evening, and our heroes are looking for a Pokemon Center so they can go and stay the night there. And that's where Brock is like, let me see. The Pokemon Center will be. And then out of nowhere, we hear, which I'm going to stop it here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we heard a scream, and I get the gist of this episode. But we hear a scream, our heroes look up and they're like, "Let's go check this out." And they start running, and as they're running down, Officer Jenny is already there. So it's still evening, the sky is still the same. You're telling me that Officer Jenny is already here with her growler, and you're just going to go and let out a loud scream as you're being interviewed about what we're about to find out. Apparently, they have some stolen items.
The
For
whole neighborhood has to know I'm pissed off and scared and confused.
So, but it's at this point that, of course, Brock, of all people, notices Officer Jenny and completely falls in love. I mean, this is starting to get old. I'm sorry. I mean, I get Brock, that's Brock's character, but give him a girlfriend finally. But
Hey, man, give him a break. He's heartbroken.
apparently. Yeah, but Brock is like, "Officer Jenny!" And then we bounce over, and um the person that's being interviewed by Officer Jenny is like, she's like, it happened again. And Brock grabs her. He's like, "Let me put your mind at ease. You have nothing to fear now that I have arrived." And he's like, "I will exhaust every effort to and then we find out that Krogon has poisoned Brock or stung him on his buttocks. And Misty comes over, grabs him by his ear like she always does. And she's like, "Okay, okay, you're getting us nowhere. I shall be back." And she walks away with Brock, and Brock is sitting there just all sorts of stunned. And this is a longer intro than we normally have. Doug, I'm going to give this over to you for where Ash kind of jumps in here.
So, yes. So, poor Brock, dumbstruck Brock gets dragged away. And Ash is like, he's talking to Officer Jenny. He's like, "Well, did something happen?" And Officer Jenny is like, "Well, we've been seeing these strange phenomenons occurring in houses all over lately." And, she's kind of at a loss. And she's like, "I believe a Pokemon is behind it, but I'm not sure who." And um, Misty walks over. She's a strange phenomenon, and Officer Jenny's like, "Yes, and I have to investigate to stop it." And Growlithe's like, "Fucking A right." And Ash looks in his pocket and he's like, "Well, if it's a strange phenomenon, I just happen to have this Pokemon." And he throws Pokeball up in the orange sky, and out pops his Gengar. Just because, convenience. And Ash is like, "Well, if it's a strange phenomenon, we can help you out." And Gengar's like, "I'm just happy to be out of that Pokeball." And then we get the opening finally, which I will be skipping.
Yes. The nice little skip button works wonders.
On devices, not so much on mobile.
Yes, not on mobile.
And then we get the title of the episode, which you mentioned up top, is Bandit's Search. And we I was going to say, did I unpause it? And then we come back to the episode, and Officer Jenny and company is walking into the house, and it's dark, and they're all kind of on edge. They're not. They're staying pretty close together. And Officer Jenny says the one thing you should never say in sci-fi or horror or anything like that. She said, "Let's split up and look around." Well, God, how many of us do you want to kill?
This is like a scene right out of Scooby-Doo.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I really feel like that was the inspiration for this episode because everything that they did in this episode was like straight out of Scooby Doo. So I'm just throwing that out there, everybody.
So, she's like, let's split up and look around, and everybody agrees because they're dumb children. And Ash and Brock are going upstairs, and Misty is with Officer Jenny and Growlithe, and um, the first door they try, they find that it's open, and Officer Jenny gets kind of nervous because unlocked door in an empty house, that's usually not good.
It's a bad
And
sign there.
she swings the door open, and nothing. But Growlithe starts sniffing, and she looks down and she's like, "Do you smell something?" And Growlithe's like, "Well, not really." And Misty goes and looks at in a mirror on a bureau, and she sees a little spirit in the corner. What looks to be behind her, kind of right on Officer Jenny's shoulder, and she freaks out. She's like, "Officer Jenny, behind you!"
And you know what? I wanna stop there for a brief second because I was happy to see that because that's a callback to the original Pokemon game. Do you remember
Mm-hmm.
when you would go into that creepy tower, the cemetery tower where the Cubone is, and before you got the Sylph scope, that is how the ghost Pokemon looked. And then they would tell you, go away. And then they would
Mm-hmm.
shoo you out. So I did
Right.
like that anime.
Nice little nugget for those of us that are paying attention. I missed it on first rewatch, so that was a nice catch.
Oh, thank you.
So obviously, as soon as Officer Jenny turns around, it's gone. But she did kind of catch for lack of a better, she caught the tail end of the thing, and so they're all kind of looking up, like, what in the heck was that? And then we flip back to Brock and Ash and Gengar and Krogon, and they slowly open a door, and they straight up see the spirit. And
Yeah, because the spirit came rushing through the floor and was like, because Misty and Officer Jenny was right over there. So when the spear went through the floor, that's where it popped up with Ash and Brock.
we see that the spirit is rifling through some drawers and kind of just, pardon me, generally making a mess. And Ash is like, right, Gengar, use Shadow Ball. And Gengar goes to, he's got the Shadow Ball kind of in his hand, ready to go. And as soon as he goes to throw it, the spirit gives him the old okey doke, and literally goes over his shoulder, and Ash and Brock have to duck. And he's like, right, Pikachu, don't let it get away. Use Electroweb. Which they're just making shit up now.
No, that's a move.
mm,
That's a move from a couple generations ago now. So I can defend that.
sure. And so Pikachu launches the Electroweb, and the spirit is able to evade it. And he goes for Ash, and Ash has to get out the way, like, ah! And Brock is able to get an up close vantage point, and he's like, is that a Bannet? And you see the thing go down the hallway and disappear, and they're both kind of looking around like, what in the heck just happened?
And that's where Brock runs outside to Officer Jenny and Misty, and he's like, I figured it out. I figured it out. And Officer Jenny's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that Pokemon. It's a bandit. And she Officer Jenny's like, but why would a bandit? And then all of a sudden you hear a crash. Ah! And Ash goes running and he's like, over there. And then they go and run inside this poor lady's house, uninvited, by the way. Haven't even talked to the police, or she hasn't even talked to anybody. But they run in this lady's house, and there it is. There's Bennett going through all of the closet space and everything, just throwing paper all over the place. And Bennett looks back and is like, "Oh, you caught me again!" And it makes a portal, and it's gone again. And Ash tries to grab it, and this is where I said that they got the inspiration from Scooby Doo, because from there we get a montage, basically,
Mm-hmm.
of hearing another scream, and you see the bodies run over to this house, and you see this lady scream, and then you hear this guy scream, and then they run over to this house, then you hear this little 7-year-old scream, and they run over to this house, and then you have this lady scream, and you run over to this house, and I'm sure Brock was like, oh, pretty lady, and then you hear this little boy scream, and
When did Wait a minute, wait a minute. When did Brock turn into Johnny Bravo? What the hell?
He's always been Johnny Bravo. What do you mean?
I see.
Hey, pretty lady. And then you hear this little boy scream, so they run over to this house. And then after that whole montage is over, it is officially nighttime, and they're sitting outside of the police station, and they're just huffing and puffing, and Officer Jenny just walks over and she starts talking. She's like, apparently Bandit has been taking various items from the houses that it has been invading. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like what? And Officer Jetty goes, all right, so a cushion. And they're like, a cushion? Yeah, a heart shaped one. Plus a heart shaped mirror, a heart shaped sunglasses, a heart shaped balloon, heart shaped chocolate, an ace of hearts. And Missy's like, wait a minute, they're all hearts? And she's like, right, that's what they all have in common. So everything that Ben is taking have been all hearts. And they're like, huh, I wonder. I wonder what connection this has. And we go straight over to seeing Bannock going over to this broken down house. The house looks like it could be a really nice house, but it
Mm.
but
Seen better days.
yeah, seen better days. But Bannock is walking in the field, a bunch of tall grass that has not been cut, and walks into the house, and then just has a whole pile of heart shaped things. So Bannock is grabbing the heart shaped items and putting it on top of its head and walking over to a mirror with a smile on its face, and then gets discouraged and is like, no, it's not this one. And then gets another item. And he's like, no, it's not this one. And then he gets the sunglasses and puts the sunglasses on its head. And it looks in the mirror and it's like, no, not this one. Gets the balloon. No, it's not this one. And then he gets a cup and a card with an ace of hearts on it, and he's like, none of these work. And just the animation that they made, because they made it seem like it was in such distress, because it was like, oh no, it's still not it. And it looks down and turns its back to the mirror, and it's like, it's just so defeated. And then Bannock unzips its mouth and takes out a photo out of its mouth, which was kind of creepy, but I guess that's kind of cool in a way too. So,
Hey man, where do you put your photos? What the fuck?
not in my mouth.
Well,
I guess I'm doing it
no.
wrong.
Yeah.
But it takes out a photo, and the photo is of a little girl holding her little plush toy, and you hear something from the past that goes, "Oh, it looks great on you, Bannock. Look, look at, and I'm gonna say Gochan. I don't know. So the little girl used to call her stuffed animal Gochan, which I'm sure will be translated into something else when it comes here to America. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say Gochan because I have nothing else to say. So, which comes to the very end of this episode. So Ban is thinking of something with this little girl, and the little girl's talking to her plush toy, and it's like, it looks good on you, Gochan. And then Bandit puts the picture back in its mouth, zips its mouth back up, and it's like, oh, Bandit. And it just starts walking outside of the house, and it looks up at the full moon. And that's where we find out that Bannet is a plush doll Pokemon and a ghost type. And that and I'm gonna give this on over to you, bro, with Ash going through the Pokédex.
Before I continue, I do want to go back just a second and say, crucially, in the flashback of the little girl fussing over her plush toy, we purposely don't see her face. It's blurred.
Yes, yes.
Um,
We don't know who
you
she
know,
is.
distorted. I mean, we see red hair, and that's about all we can make out. So yes, Dexter has made the transition to full-on smartphone because now the Pokemon doesn't have to be directly in front of him. Um, apparently we can just use, speak to text or whatever, or we can just look it up, which, quite frankly, we should have always been able to do, but here we are.
Facts.
And so we find out that Bannet is a doll that was given life as a Pokemon by its grudge from being abandoned.
Yes.
And, Ash has to kind of keep up with people that might not be keeping up with the show. And he goes, an abandoned doll. And,
the fact that they repeat themselves a lot shows that it's a kid show.
well, exactly. And, Misty is upset at this. And we can see that Gengar and Krogon are affected. And, Brock's sitting there and he's like, so it's harassing people because it's holding a grudge. And,
why is it only taking heart-shaped items?
yeah. And Ash, for some reason, gets hype. He's like, I just want to know more about Bannet. Because it's a Pokemon that he's not familiar with, and he gets a hard on. And Pikachu's like, yeah. And Gengar's, again, he's like, I'm just happy to be out of the Pokeball. And
facts.
And Ash is like, all right, let's continue the search. And he's like, everybody's like, yeah. And then they all get hungry at the exact same time. And this is when we figure out that they haven't really eaten since about lunch. And as we established after they were done running throughout the houses, they probably lost a couple hours because it was about dusk when they arrived in the town. And so we cut to a Pokemon Center. Not a restaurant, but a Pokemon Center. And Nurse Joy's like, oh, is that so? And she's like, well, in that case, I'm going to have to increase security. And this is when old Casanova Brock just jumps into action. And he's like, your security is already here, madam.
Look, he is.
Look into my always closed eyes that somehow I can see out of. And he's like, Your heart's worry, or your heart's worries, are the key to unlock my blazing flames of love. And
he gets stung again.
once again, Krogon is Johnny on the spot, being like, "Get the off the counter." And Misty and Brock are literally dragging him away by his legs, and he's crying. He's like, "I'll be back." And Misty's like, "All right, come on, let's go to the cafeteria already, for goodness sakes." And we then see another montage, but this one isn't played for comedy. We actually see Bennett going from house to house, looking through these houses, trying to find that one specific item. And he comes out of the final house, and you can see he's dejected. And we then see another shot of the full moon. And, pardon me, we see that he's perched on a building with a high vantage point. And he's looking at his photograph again. And we cut back to our heroes. And he's like, "All right, now that we're full of energy and we've eaten," he's like, "now I'm definitely going to find that Bennett." And Pikachu and Gengar are like, "Bet, fam." And they literally turn and take one step, and they see Bennett. Because, like I said, he's perched on the chimney of this building. And they're inconsiderate because they startle him. As they look up and they go, "There he is." And Bennett hears them. He's like, "Oh shit, I've been scooped." And a gust of wind knocks the photo out of his hand. And floating down towards Ash and the crew. And Brock snags it out of the air.
How rude.
And extremely. And Bennett is in full-on Rambo mode. And we think that he's going to, take out Brock because he has his property. But he shifts his focus to Misty and her carefully chosen heart barrette that was so painstakingly pointed out at the beginning of the episode. And as Bennett is barreling down towards Misty, we get a nice freeze frame, and we get the "Who's That Pokemon?"
And it's Bennett! How convenient.
Damn, I was hoping it was going to be Gengar.
So, straight from that, we go to Bennett chasing Misty. And I'm only going to make this point because it was pointed out on Bulbapedia. Apparently, Misty running away from Bennett, which she is doing, on her bag does not have a zipper.
Take cut it for the whole show.
Yeah,
cut the whole show.
Fucking animators. But no, apparently it was an error. And as she's running away, there is no zipper on her bag. But Bennett is sitting there chasing after Misty, and it's pointed out that it's trying to get the heart-shaped hair pendant that she got from the accessory shop at the beginning of the episode. And Misty, and then we get a close-up of Brock, and Brock's like, "Huh, this girl. Who is this girl?" And Misty's like, "No, get it away from me, get it away from me." And Ash and Pikachu starts chasing after Bennett and Misty. And Ash is like, "For now, I gotta stop it. Pikachu, use your Electro Web again." And Pikachu's like, "All right, I got you." And Electro Web again, and it shocks the mess out of Bennett. And Bennett's a ghost type Pokemon, so it's like, and it's not a stupid ghost type Pokemon. It's like, ow, this hurts, and then it sinks its body into the ground right outside of the electroweb. And it's like, I'm going to continue chasing Misty. And then Ash is like, well, crap. Gengar, follow it. So Gengar is like, I got it. So it starts flying in the air after Bennett, and Bennett loses track of Misty because Misty is now was hiding behind a tree, and Gengar goes and chases Bennett all the way into a forest and ends up losing track of the Bennett. And Gengar's like, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I don't see it anymore. And then it finally goes the way that Bennett was going because Gengar saw it or was getting traces of ghost remnants. But Bennett flies into its house, and Gengar doesn't see where it flew to, and it's looking around. It's like, Gengar, Gengar, Gengar. Oh, crap, I lost it again. So we jump back to Misty and Ash with Krogant and Pikachu, and Misty is like, why was that thing following me? And Ash is like, I think it was coming after the pennant in your hair. She's like, I forgot that this was a heart shape. And
You dumb broad.
for real, Brock starts running over to Ash and Misty, and he's like, I figured it out. I figured it out. Look at this. And they're like, what is it? And then Brock is like, Bennett dropped this earlier. And they're like, hey, is that possible that that's Bennett? And Ash is looking, he's like, that's right. Plush dolls become Bannets, which is still very, very weird.
Your wife pointed this out before we hit the record button because you made some comment about, this is kind of a sad episode and, whatever. And she's like, oh, really? Pokemon episode is sad. And you said, yeah, and you kind of went into it. You're like, well, this doll gets possessed, or this doll gets left behind and becomes a ghost Pokemon, and she stopped you dead. She's like, that don't make no sense. And we couldn't fight her.
No, we couldn't, because it still doesn't make any sense. And Brock tells Ash and Misty to look at the picture, and he said, look at it very closely. And he's like, look at the doll's hair. And it's the doll has a little pennant like that's hanging off of its ear on the plush doll. And Ash is like, that looks just like yours, Misty. And Misty is like, really? And Brock is like, yeah, to sum it up, Bennett is looking for a hair tie it once wore when it was a plush doll. And they're like, oh, so that's why it's taking all these heart things. And Ash, of course, goes and asks the dumb question, well, why is it looking for that? And Brock is like, maybe that girl, its owner, is the one who gave it the hair tie.
No shit.
And Brock is like, it must be an important treasure to Bennett. And Ash is like, a treasure? And then all of a sudden, Gengar is back in the frame, and it looks defeated. So I'm going to hand this part over to you, bro.
So Ash looks up and goes, Gengar, where's Bennett? And Gengar's like, I don't know, he got away, man. I don't know. And Ash is like, I see. And then we cut, and they're all kind of walking along the street. I have to feel like they're out past curfew. This is kind of ridiculous. And Brock's like, something's still bugging me. And Misty's like, did you say bug? Don't say bug. No, she didn't. And
no, that part's not in the anime, people.
Oh, that's too clever. Misty's like, well, what is it? And Brock's like, well, there's one thing that I really can't work out. And Ash kind of looks over. He looks past Brock and he looks at Misty and goes, Misty, I wonder if you could just end all this if you just gave that hair tie to Bannet. And Misty kind of looks. She's like, do you suppose? And Ash is like, well, I want to make it happy. And, Brock was kind of explaining that, it was looking for its lost hair tie, and this might be, close enough for government work. And Ash is like, would you please, consider it? And Misty's like, this is fine. This was like 50 cents at that roadside stand. It's whatever. I get another one when we leave. And Misty's like, well, just so you know, I had that same plan. Well, why didn't you speak up,
10
when
minutes
we were
ago.
back there, for goodness sake?
Why'd you run away from it?
Yes, thank you. Why did you run away from it? Why didn't you just say, here, you can have it? I was keeping it warm for you.
Because they need to fill 20 minutes.
Because they need to fill 20 minutes. So, our heroes are kind of walking away. They're kind of satisfied. They're like, all right. And then we cut back to the abandoned house with Bannet. That was unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, for real.
And Bannet is looking out the window at the full moon, and the moon becomes the little girl's face. And then we get a flashback of the little girl and the plush doll twirling in a field of flowers.
We still can't see her face.
Right. This is very crucial. Even when the moon became the little girl's face, it was still just as fuzzy as it was in the photograph. So we see the little girl made the little heart piece, like made it for the plush, and she puts it on the plushie's ear, and he's like, "You're so cute," or she's like, "It looks so cute on you," or "You're so cute, it looks so good on you." Ganshin. And like you said earlier, that'll probably be
a different
changed.
Name.
Yeah, it'll probably be changed when it gets adapted to English. But since we don't have direct translation, this is what you're getting. And we see that the plush toys sitting there so happy and just so content because it's a doll. And the little girl's like, "I love you, Ganshin." And we then cut and we see a bunch of packed boxes and
Pangoros.
I'm sorry?
Pangoros. That's the panda Pokemon that's helping move.
Oh. See, I figured that was a Pokemon, but
yes.
So she's putting the doll on a dresser or a desk, I suppose. And she's like, "All right, I'll see you at the new house." And she walks out the door. She says one final goodbye, and then we see the movers are taking the stuff, one piece by one piece, and then the last piece of furniture is the desk with the doll on it. The say that Pokemon again.
Pangoro.
The Pangoro can see the doll on the desk, and he goes to pick it up, and the assistant, the boss, whatever, is like, "Hey, the truck's leaving, hurry up." And the Pangoro gets distracted because he wants to make sure that the last piece of furniture makes the truck. And in the process of hurriedly picking it up, he knocks the doll off the desk. And the doll just lands and is just laying on the floor. And we see the truck driving away, and I did have to okay, it's flipped, because I was like, is that Pangoro driving that damn truck? It's not. And we see the truck driving away, and we see just a shot of the doll just left alone in the house, and we see night, day, night, day, night, day, snow, and, you know, dilapidation. And then there's like something out of goddamn Sleeping Beauty or something, or I don't even know, Little Mermaid or something. The friggin' doll just transforms. And why?
It's the kids show.
Apparently it's pissed off. It's a kid's show. We had to fill 20 minutes. So it becomes a Bandit. Bandit is looking around, and it realizes it's, still in the room. And it goes kind of floating from room to room, and it stops, and it picks up, that picture, and walks out of the house. And it's walking around in town, and it's going from like little girl to little girl, and it stops itself in front of one girl and scares it, and it's a ghost. And Bandit is kind of like feeling its face, and
it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean,
around,
ghost? Where's the ghost?
It turns around and it sees its reflection in a window for the first time, and he's like, "Son of a bitch! What the heck?
I am a ghost."
And this is the first time she notices, or they notice, I guess, that they're not wearing the beret. And we see another like little montage of it going from like room to room, and it goes back into the room where it woke up, and it sees it on the floor. He picks it up. It's it's paper, and it's old paper.
So it crumbles.
It crumbles into a million pieces, and we then come back to present day, and then we fade out, and we then come back, and it's the next day, and we're on the hunt for Bandit again. And Ash is like, "You lost track around here, Gengar?" And Gengar's like, "Sure as shit did." And they're kind of looking around.
Well, there's a house right there. Let's go walk inside. They're just breaking into so many houses in this episode. But
oh hell, it's abandoned. It's abandoned. Look at the moss on the roof and shit.
What about everyone's house that was getting Bandit breaking into it? They were just running into those people's houses.
Yes, see, that's okay because they had a police officer.
Yeah, but they walk into the abandoned house, and this is where they find all the heart-shaped stolen items inside of the home. Pikachu's like, Pika! He's like, there it is.
But
so, man, I have hiccups now. Ash is like, Bandit, are you here? This photo's yours, right? We're here to give it back to you. And Bandit comes flying out of nowhere, grabs the photo, and flies above our three heroes. And it's like, Bandit. And Ash is like, you want a heart-shaped hair tie, right? It's like, here, take it. Now, why is Ash giving this to Bandit? You good?
Oh, dying.
It's that time of the year.
Yeah,
Oh, and why is Ash the one giving this to Bennett instead of Bennett or instead of Misty herself?
because it's his show and he's a man.
Apparently. And
He's a champion.
so Ash is like, "Here, Bennett, take it." And Bennett's like, "Are you sure?" And Gengar is like, "Yes." And Krogon and Pikachu are like, "Yes." And Bennett goes down and they go and put it on top of Bennett, and Bennett looks so happy, and it goes and looks at itself in the mirror. It's like, oh my gosh, I look so pretty, and it goes flying around, and it's flying and it's flying, and Ash is like, hey Bennett, the girl in the photo was your owner, right? And Banner's like, yeah. He's like, you wanna show us who she is? She said, let's go see her right now. And Banner's like, really? We can go find her? So they go and they start hitting the town, and Banner's looking around and is like, oh, that's her. And runs up to a random girl in the street and is like, hi, Bennett, look, I have the hair tie. And the little girl's like, huh? What? And Ash is like, "This was your plush doll, wasn't it?" And shows the photo of the little girl, and the little girl's like, "That's not me." And Ash is like, "Oh, okay,
Shit
Bennett,
gets you arrested these days.
for real." That's all I'm thinking about. But maybe they're getting away with it because they're 10 years old themselves. So,
Ah, boy.
so Ash is like, "Bennett, are you sure you know who your trainer is?" And Bennett just disappears, goes over to another girl, and and Ash is like, Bennett, stop. Because Ben is now harassing every little girl in town that has a hair tie. And Ash is like, Bennett, don't tell me you can't remember that girl's face. And Ben is like, no, I can't. And Ash is like, I knew it. What do we do exactly? The photo is not clear at all. And they're all just looking. And they're like, well, it looks like the door right in this photo is green. That kind of matches the abandoned house. So that must have been where they lived, right? And then Ash is like, well, then that means this girl must have grown up by now. And Misty's like, if we don't know her age or her face, we might not have any way to find out who this girl is at all, which is a logical thinking. Bennett gets
Mm-hmm.
all defeated, and it's like, oh, damn. And Ash is like, if there's no choice, we'll just have to ask everyone, which is a dumb idea. That's trying to find a needle in a haystack. And
Mm-hmm.
and Misty's like, wait a minute, what? And Pikachu runs up to Bandit, and so does Gengar and Krogon. And they literally hit the town, and we get our third montage in this episode. They just montage after montage, and they're literally going up to every girl in town and asking, "Is this you? Is this you? Is this you?" And everyone's saying no. We actually have some montages of them kind of scaring people because they have ghost Pokemon and people are running away from them.
I
And
don't know what pisses me off here.
what pisses you off?
They go up to Nurse Joy, or not. I'm sorry. They go up to
Officer
Officer
Joy.
Jenny, but they don't go to Nurse Joy.
Yes.
What the fuck? I mean, that's
Be-
like salt and pepper, peanut
ex-
butter jelly. Nurse Joy,
exactly.
Officer.
You're jumping too far ahead.
I know, but anyway.
But they're going up to everybody in
Not
this town.
everybody.
Well, everybody but Nurse Joy. And if you catch my drift, everybody, you can kind of put A and B together. Um, then there we catch up with them just sitting on a bench, all defeated, and Missy's like, "Man, maybe she moved far away somewhere." And Ben is like, "Oh, Bennett," and they're like, "I'm sorry, Bennett." Bennett's like, "You know what? I'm gonna fly away. Bye." And Missy's like, "We'll find her tomorrow." And Gengar is like, no, no, that's not right. I'm going to go fly after Bandit. So it starts flying after Bandit in the sky, and Ash is like, it must be going after Bandit because he's worried about it. And Pikachu's like, yep. So Bandit starts flying away, Gengar's flying right behind it. And of course, again, Gengar loses track of Bandit. And it's just like,
He's not very good at this track down stuff.
no, not at all. Well, I mean, I guess it is a ghost Pokemon, so ghost Pokemon can kind of go anywhere.
Well, this is also true.
And Gengar finally finds Bandit sitting on top of a warehouse and goes over and starts talking to Bandit. And Bandit's like, I just want to find my trainer again, and shows him the photo. And Gengar's like, you know what? We'll find her. And Bandit's like, really? All right, let's do it. And then it actually it was sitting on top. It wasn't on top of a warehouse. It was on top of a train, and the train starts moving. And Bandit's like, you know what? Goodbye, Gengar. And Gengar's like, bye. And then all of a sudden, we're back with Ash. And Doug, I'm gonna hand this part over to you.
So once again, we're back, and they're walking the streets, and Brock's got the forlorn look on his face, and he's like, I can't help but think that we're just missing something important. And we look up, and we see the sign for the Pokemon Center, and we flash in, and we see Nurse Joy is at the desk with Chansey, and Brock comes running in like a madman. Talk about shit that'll get you tackled. And he goes, it's Joy. And she goes, yes, that is my name. And and Misty's like, you need to really work on your manners and shit. This is ridiculous. And he's like, that's right. I knew it. It's Miss Joy. She's the girl in the photo. And Misty's like, no shit. And Nurse Joy's completely lost. She has no idea what she doesn't even. It's not like Brock has the photo for reference. And Ash is like, huh? And we flash, and somehow through the magic of being a kids show, the photo gets cleared up, and it sure as shit, it's Nurse Joy. And then for some odd reason, because we had like whatever 10 seconds to kill, we get the age up process of Nurse Joy, and wouldn't you know it, it is.
It is her.
Misty and Ash are completely dumbstruck, and Nurse Joy's like, look, if you all keep screaming at me, I'm going to kick you out of here.
I'm going to call Officer Jenny.
And for Ash and Pikachu take off running, and they run into Gengar, and Ash is running in place because he's got so much energy and he's excited. And he's like, where's Banna? We figured it out. And we found a girl. And Gengar has to stop him, and he's like, look, he's not around. He hopped a train. He's and he's like, he went that way, and it's a train, and he's gone. And Gengar's like, I'm a ghost. I'm going to go find him. And Ash is like, well, plot convenience. Drag Dratini. And he throws out Dratini, and Ash and Pikachu.
Dragonite.
I said Dratini, yeah. And Pikachu and Ash go flying away, and then we go back, and Brock and Misty are getting the backstory from Joy. And she says, when I was young, I lost my favorite plush doll during a move, as we saw.
Yes.
And so we didn't really need this backstory, but here we are. She goes, I never imagined it would become a Bandit. And Gengar and Dragonite are flying along the train tracks, and wouldn't you know it, they just so happen to catch up, and they kind of double speed to close the gap, and she says, "So you mean to tell me all this time you were waiting at the house at our house for me?" And um, and then we get another flashback of like just how close they were, and they're looking up at the moon, and Dragonite and Gengar catch up, and Ash leans in and he goes, "We found a girl," and Bandit's like, "No shit," and
You better have found a girl, because if I get off this train, I'm going to be pissed if it's not her.
I remember I am a ghost, and he Ash grabs Bandit and puts it on Dragonite, and off in the distance we see them flying back, and Bandit and Nurse Joy come face to face, and she's like, "Is that you, Gon-Chen?" And Bandit's like 100, and he's still got Misty's hairpiece on, and Nurse Joy flashes back to making it, and son of a bitch, and she starts to cry, and
Gengar starts to cry. Everyone starts to cry.
Everyone starts to cry, and she says, "I'm sorry I left you all alone," and Bandit starts to cry, which how the hell does a ghost cry? But here I am, and Ash is like, "I'm a man, I don't cry." He pulls his hat down over his eyes, and Misty's weepy, and Brock's just Brock because his eyes are closed open, and then because I think we have to check the box, this is when we get our
Latias.
Latias, who is a ghost as well? Question mark.
Well, Latias is not a ghost, so Latias can make herself invisible, or
I see.
To her surroundings.
I see.
So yes, and from there, Bandit's been reunited with Nurse Joy, and it's finally morning time, and Brock is like, "Man, I'm so jealous, but I'm glad we were able to get you and Bandit back together." And Nurse Joy is like, "Thank you so much." And Bandit has become the new addition to the Pokemon Center. And
That was cute.
I know. And Nurse Joy is like, "The two of us working together is like a dream come true." And Bandit's so happy. And Nurse Joy is like, "Come back anytime." And they're like, "Okay, see ya." And Gengar is not back in its Pokeball yet. But I did like this scene, because this scene just, I can see Brock legit doing this all the time. But they're walking through the city, and there's a bunch of young women that's walking by, and Brock is just staring. He's like, "Oh man, you're pretty. No, you're pretty. No, you're pretty." He's like, "Oh my gosh, this town is full of pretty women." And Misty gets pissed. I did not agree with this part, because Krogon comes out of its Pokeball to sting Brock in the chest as Misty is pulling him by its ear. And it's not like Brock was running up to these women. They were just walking by these women. He's like, "Oh, you're pretty. You're pretty. You're pretty." And that's where we get the narrator ending this episode, and we get a to be continued. So this was a nice little episode.
He wasn't running up to the women, but I reckon he was breathing heavy.
Yeah, he probably was. But we get next after the credits, we get next week's preview for the Team Rocket episode, which is Team Rocket getting back all their previous Pokemon outside of a few, and
which is dumb.
yeah, so you saw the preview, so
Yeah,
you're in the same camp as I am when it comes to next week's episode. But
yeah.
but but yeah, Team Rocket gets a full featured episode next week, everybody. So don't miss it. Doug,
Which
what did
is
you
good because they weren't on this one at all.
exactly? Doug, what did you think about this episode on a scale from 1 to 5 compared to the rest of the episodes?
Except, I mean, two and a half.
I was about to say I'm going to give it a 2 compared to
Yeah,
the rest.
I'll fudge it up because we did have that nice, ending, and we do see that Nurse Joy and Bandit are together again. So it wasn't like, they got together, they had closure, and then Bandit went on to do whatever. It's like, no, she's sticking around, so that's the only reason it got the extra half. If it was just one of those things where it's like Bandit needed closure, and the episode ended with like Nurse Joy looking in the distance, and then we just happened to see Bandit on the chimney again, then it would have been a solid 2. But the fact that the partnership's going to continue, I'm feeling generous, and you can have an extra half.
Well, you're a lot more generous than me because I'm going to stick with my 2. So, but yeah, it was a decent episode, very sad episode. I did not think this really needed to be an episode within Ash's Chronicles for these last 11 episodes, but I guess the Pokemon Company wanted something like this, so they did it.
It wouldn't be a true Ash arc if there wasn't some unnecessary filler.
Yes, you're not wrong. So, all right. Outside of that, do you have anything else to add for this week, Doug?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Professor Chris G telling all of you, do not miss next week's episode because, again, Team Rocket is getting a full-fledged episode, and it might be better than what we're expecting. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Have a good night, everybody.